Welcome to the Fish North Georgia podcast, where we talk everything fishing here in North Georgia.
Make a cast over that brush pile and bring wolf packs of spotted bass up.
Georgia is blessed with so many of these electric-only lakes.
No, I didn't say that, Danny. Don't be
so,
speculating now.
Hey guys, welcome to this episode of the Fish North Georgia minicast. On this episode, we have Lake Allatoona and Carter's Lake legend Bill Payne. And he's going to be sharing with us his favorite way to catch spotted bass, and that is with a finesse swim bait. We got a lot of information in it. You're not going to want to miss that. Now, this episode is brought to you by Jimbo's Weekly Fishing Reports. Now, imagine this, guys. If you're planning a trip to Lake Lanier and you haven't been there in a long time, you've got to know, where do I get the information out there? What am I going to do? I don't want to waste a lot of time when I get out on the water. Well, there's one place that you can go and get all of this, and that's at Jimbo's Weekly Video Fishing Reports. Now, every Thursday, guys, he puts out up-to-date content, and this is based upon his own experiences throughout that week, and it includes specific baits he's using to put fish in the boat.
And one of the baits that I wanted to talk to you about really quick is this Spro rock crawler. This thing has really been productive over the last few days.
You know, Jimbo shares his techniques and his patterns, related to Lake Lanier spotted bass. I've been on the boat with him. There's a lot of information that he likes to give out, and I know he gives it out in these videos. Also included in every single one of these reports is a map of locations where the fish have been.
Those irregular features along the ditch are the places that you want to begin looking for your bait and fish in order to find a spoon bite.
And the structure that they're relating to. So when you get out on the water, you're not wasting a lot of time searching for structure here and structure there. You know exactly what you've got to go do. You know exactly where to go. If you want to be successful, you've got to have the information. And Jimbo's Weekly Video Reports is a must-have. He offers monthly and annual plans. Go sign up at jimboonlanier.com. We'd also like to thank another fine sponsor of this Fish North Georgia minicast, Line Taming Serum. Now, guys, sit back and enjoy this episode with Bill Payne. Okay, guys, we're back again. Fish North Georgia minicast. I'm here with professional fishing guide Bill Payne. And on this episode, we're going to talk about finesse swim baits. What a finesse swim bait is, what we throw it on, and when and where we throw it. So, Bill, it's up to you right now.
Well, I'm going to talk a little bit about my favorite bait, and it's a small swim bait. Actually, my favorite is a 3-inch Kitech Easy Shiner. My favorite color is Pro Blue. We kind of got on this finesse swim bait a few years ago before it became popular, I would say. I was fishing in the winter in the ditches, and we were casting shaky heads out and letting them go really deep and dragging them real slow. And when they were biting really good, that was fun. But when it got a little slow, it became real tedious to do that. And then fish head spin kind of got popular for people doing some of that. And anyway, that was about the first time, swim baits in general were getting really popular, hard swim baits, and even the big Huddleston plastic or rubber, whatever
they are,
they're made of, got popular. And then I just began to see some little smaller ones, and I thought, I don't even know what people do with that. But anyway, I wound up getting some small swim baits, and I had some little ball head jigs. Some of them were shaky heads, and I got my 8-pound line, and I started playing around with that and got a few bites. And one day I pulled into a pocket and caught 38 in one place on this little ball head jig with a little small swim bait. And I thought, oh man, if this is not just a fluke, this is something. So,
right.
Well, I was going to do it the next day, and my line was so twisted up. I thought, well, I can only fish a day with a spool of line that gets twisted like this. It just gets so aggravating, you can't do it. So anyway, one thing led to another, and I thought, well, maybe I'm gonna see about braid, and I got some braid on there, and I got some 8-pound braid, and tied a leader on there, and I thought, well, this will probably mess it all up, but I started using that, and I got some heavier heads, and really over the course of a couple of years, starting really several years ago, before you ever heard anything about Finesse Swimbaits, I started working on this and kind of developed a system that really worked, and I've settled on some 10-pound braid and an 8-pound leader. And the hardest thing, and I wanted some heads that look better than just a round bald head jig, even though that may work just fine, but I wanted something nicer. And the problem was, as swim baits got heavier, the heads, and it's even really still that way for the most part, the heavier the head, the bigger the hook.
Right.
And they're too big for a 3-inch swim bait. So we started making some and altering some, and we kind of developed a system, even 1/4 ounce, 3/8, and even 1/2 ounce heads with small hooks. And you know, we catch fish in the wintertime even 70 and 80 feet deep, walleye, big bass, and that's in the wintertime. But really, this is pretty much a year-round bait with some alterations. I mean, we've just gone through a period through the winter here. The ditch bite has been really good, and these swim baits they just perform great, and you can catch fish after fish on these things, and that's a fun way to do it. But really, just say, you know, the winter's not going to last forever, and the fish are going to start moving shallower. And what I like to do is to I might go to a 1/4 ounce head with this same bait and work shallower, and even as we go into spring, I may move to a 3/16 ounce, and I'm not fishing in the ditches, of course. As the fish move up shallower, and then they work toward the spawn, there's just a lot of fish out cruising, suspended and cruising out in depths from, I don't know, 10 feet to 15 to 20 feet. And if you match the head size to get the bait down there for that, you can catch a lot of fish. I even go all the way to 1/8 ounce by the time the fish come off the bed after the spawn, and a lot of them will go to docks, and I cast an 1/8 ounce bait around marina docks, shade, corners of docks, and it's just surprising how many fish you can catch on this little 3-inch swim bait. It matches the bait, you know. Even today, you know, this week we've caught some that are spitting up bait, and it's just a good representation of what this 3-inch bait looks like.
Now, when you talk about making a smaller hook, the type hook that's on these, are we talking similar now to like a Ned rig size hook, a thinner wire, a little lighter weight like that?
They are thinner. I have some 1/0 and 2/0 and even 3/0, but not any bigger than that.
Not any bigger than that.
And really, they're not the heaviest gauge. They don't need to be.
Okay.
You know, we're fishing these on light line, and I like I use a G Loomis 2 power, which is it might be considered a medium, but it's on the light side. I like even a medium light rod for this. You don't have to really set the hook hard with braid. In fact, you don't want to jerk it like you're setting the hook on a shaky head. All you have to really do is once they're on there, is just kind of lean back and reel, and you've got them. You don't have to jerk. And with braid, even in deep water, it's easy to hook these fish. And it's just probably the time that I use this the least is just in the dead of summer.
Okay.
Every other time of the year. Now, I don't just go out and throw this swim bait all day, but I mean, there's certain times when other baits are just going to work better. But you'll just be shocked. I catch up in the Tennessee River in current, I catch big smallmouth on this bait. I catch big spots. The biggest spots I catch every year are on this bait. You know, last year I kept up with it. I had 14 stringers of 5 fish that were over 20 pounds, spotted bass. 90% of them came on this bait. It's been the best bait that I've come across in technique, and I've kind of developed it really over the years. Now I know it's getting pretty popular. I've seen Ot Defoe on Major League Fishing really rack up a bunch of fish on this in the past couple of years, and everybody, I've even had a couple of pros spend the day in the boat with me to see about this, and they're saying, well, yeah, we all got these, but we don't fish them this way exactly, maybe.
Right.
And so it's pretty popular and well known now, but it is, if I had to say it's a favorite bait, it is a favorite bait of mine.
Now, spin reel, I'm assuming, or do you throw it on a bait caster?
I use a Shimano Stratic CI4, it doesn't matter, but a 2500 size, and it's light, and you match that with a good rod that's light and sensitive, although I'm not saying it has to be the best in the world, but it does there's
help.
any kind of there's a lot of things that work, but I think you don't want to have a full medium or a medium heavy rod. I see some guys recommending that online, but that's way overkill, and I don't know why you would need that. It's not a matter of where you're going to horse them in or anything.
Right.
You want to, it's finesse fishing still, and you get your drag set right, 10 pound. I've never had braid to break.
What kind of knot do you use from your braid to your fluoro?
I use, I used to use the Crazy Alberto, and I do sometimes still use that, but the FG knot I was a little slow to learn to tie that knot, but I tie it now, and I like it just because you can use a longer leader and get the knot up in your spool a little bit, and as you break off and retie for abrasion, you're not having to tie a new leader on every so often, so I can put 15 feet on there and use it for a few weeks.
Okay, so you go with a longer leader just for that, because you're going to have to retie and do stuff like that.
That's right.
Now, let's just, for example, the bass, you're looking on, you're cruising around, you see on your sonar, you see the bass are suspended at 15 feet. You're going to throw this bait. Describe the actual cast and how you bring it back to the boat.
Okay, I always typically like to make the longest cast I can make. The water's clear a lot of times. I want to cast it out there, and I want to count it down. And, there's several ways you can count it down and see how long it takes to hit bottom, whether you're in 30 feet or you're in 90 feet. And then you can kind of adjust accordingly. If you were in 30 feet and it took 10 seconds for it to sink, then I'm going to count it to about 5 and just swim it across where a lot of these fish are suspended, whether they're around bait or they're not around bait. And I've caught lots of fish doing that.
Now, fast retrieve or a slow retrieve?
It's a slow retrieve. It's
very slow retrieve.
A slow retrieve. Now, I've had occasions where I sped it up a little bit and it triggered a bite, and I've had people wind it in to make another cast and one be chasing it, but generally just letting the tail give it all the action. It's got a little fine swimming tail. It's a very inobtrusive bait. It's not, I don't think it's going to spook the fish. I think you can catch them from, from non-keepers to, we've caught an 11-pound largemouth in the Tennessee River on this bait.
On that bait right there. Now, if somebody wanted to go buy this particular head and this particular bait, where could they find them?
This bait, you get these at the Dugout in Kennesaw, and these, we've been working on heads. A fellow by the name of Adam Broughton, he's pretty shrewd. He's painted these to color match the best Kitech colors, and he's going to be making these custom heads, and they're going to be available at the dugout as well. And we've refined this and made prototype after prototype, and we've got what we think is the best head, and it matches these baits perfectly, and it's just a beautiful little package. And talking about how effective it is, I mean, there's nothing better for spotted bass than this. I mean, I know people that's caught their personal best at Lake Lanier on this bait, their personal best at Chickamauga tail race on this. I've had fellas that have gone to the river, and we've caught 250 fish in a day, spread over 13 species in that river, from drum to trophy smallmouth, spotted bass, largemouth, crappie, white bass, sauger, walleye, brim, warmouth, on and on, even catfish. Every fish that lives in the river, even a gar, will bite this thing, and we've caught them.
All right, well, there you go, guys. You can't get no better testimony than that. Man, we appreciate it, Bill, and get to the dugout and get you some of these baits. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Fish North Georgia podcast. If y'all have any topics or guests you'd like to see in the future, leave it in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button, click that bell, so that you'll be notified of any future videos. And don't forget to give us a follow on Facebook and Instagram at Fish North Georgia. And we look forward to seeing you soon.